Welcome to another episode in Success Next Career Guidance Tips. So, we have often talked about how to crack interviews, but prior to that, one needs to consider what is the right career option. So, when someone comes here for our career guidance program or part of the personality development program, we ensure that they understand what are the options and how it affects their career and their personal life. So, when we think about any kind of a task, any kind of a work we want to do, why are we doing it? There are two reasons. One is for achievement, another is for quality of life or standard of life, right? So we work because we want to achieve. What does achievement gives us? Achievement may give us various things like money, recognition, power, freedom, right? But beyond a certain point, often it starts to affect your quality of life. For example, you might think the more you work, the more you can achieve. But that's an optimal level. Can you work for 24 hours? Probably no. But can you work just 2 hours and then get by? No. It is somewhere in between, right? For some people, the right answer might be 8 hours. For some people, the right answer might be 14 hours. We will have to figure that out. We will have to figure out what is more important for that particular individual. Is it achievement? Is it a peaceful life? Is it a quieter time spent with the family? So we consider all of this when providing career guidance. So here I am taking a look at various career options and how that impacts the amount of money, the amount of time you have with family, the risk with that career option. All right, let's just dive in. So here I have 6 categories of job or career options and 3 big buckets. So the first 3 options, what I would like to think as employment, like you're employed and you're working for someone, some company or someone. So in that one, the first one is going to be a corporate career. A second one is an undemanding job, relatively relaxing job. And the third one is going to be what we call as retirement early. FIRE is an acronym. It stands for financial independence and retiring early. So these are 3 parts when working for someone else. And I'm going to compare that with 6 attributes each of these career paths will have and how that will pan out for years. So let's look at the attributes that we're going to look at these career options against. First is money. When I say money, it means the money during your working career, not after retirement, at the time of your working career, like when you are working. Spare time, this also during your working career. So this is about work-life balance. Post-work, how much spare time do you have or would you have? Happiness, again, this is during the career. All right, so from here, the last 3 is kind of generic, is post your career, right? So retirement, right? So is it going to be a really good retirement? You're going to have quite a bit of money left for you when you take this career option when you retire, right? And time in retirement, are you going to retire early or are you going to be able to spend a lot of time after work in retirement? And risk, this is generally about the overall risk with this career option. Are you going to have some difficulty retiring? Is it going to actually pan out the way we are planning? Corporate career, so this is the most common one, right? Moving up the ladder. So in this one, you join a big firm. Usually, you want to move up the chain and try to become a CEO or one of the C-suite member. So when you are doing that, you typically work a lot. You have to work 12, 13, 14-hour days. And when you do that, you get a lot of money, right? So you will be rewarded for the amount of work, but you will have very less spare time. It's just going to be going back home, and if you have a long commute, probably not much family social time during your work days. And your happiness tends to be low, right? It is always going to be chasing, right? Typically, there are exceptions, but typically it is low happiness. But you will have a lot of money when you retire, right? You're going to have those stock options probably, quite a bit of bonuses. you will retire very well. And your time in retirement could be average. You're probably looking at a retirement somewhere in the 55 to 60 year bracket. You still have a decent amount of time post-retirement. The risk is high because you are basically having one source of income here, and the more higher up you go, people are going to watch what you're doing, and if there's any mishap, you could get fired, like just what happened with Twitter, what's happening now in Meta today, right? So in my opinion, this is high risk. A lot of people think this is low risk, but in my opinion, it is high risk. The next one is an undemanding job. You take up a job. It could be anything, but there's not much pressure. It's maybe you're working as working in a restaurant, and you're doing something, you're making burgers, whatever it is, it pays you okay, you're able to sustain, but it is not a job or a career where you're going to move up and you're going to take on higher responsibilities. It's something, or even you're going to become an administrative assistant or a clerk, and you work that thing throughout your career, and then you retire. So it is an option, right? So the money is low, but then usually you work 8 hours, right? You work 9 to 5, and then you're heading home, and you have a lot of time in the evening to spend time with your family and friends and socialize, right? And so your happiness tends to be okay. I mean, it is good post your job, but during your job, it's still like 8 hours of kind of non-purposeful work. You don't have the motivation. This is just some work you're doing. It's relaxed, but there is no real drive there. So I would rate the happiness as okay, right? And let's move on to retirement. So usually this is not going to be a high-paying job. You're probably not going to be able to save a lot. So you're probably going to work longer, and also you will end up with a lower corpus during retirement. As I said, the time in retirement, you might be working a little longer depending on your situation, but the risk is low. You're not going to get fired easily, and even if you get fired, you can switch. It's kind of a low-paying job. You would find something. All right, 10 years back, I found this website called Mr. Money Mustache, MMM, and his whole idea is that you only need 25 times the money of your expenses you require annually to retire. So if you can reduce your expenses and save a lot during your working career, you can retire very early, in your 30s, even in your 20s. So this is very popular among certain group of people, people who are working in investment banking. They start early in 20s, they work very, very long, 14, 15-hour days, but they work for 10, 15 years, and then after that they want to retire and spend the rest of the life, having fun, etc. So the money when you are working, you're going to get paid well, but you're going to put all of that in savings because you want to retire early. Right? So this could vary, obviously, like in certain careers you do have quite a bit of money where you can spend with. I would say it's medium to low. And then the spare time during work is going to be absolutely not much time left because you are really trying to optimize the 10, 15 years that you're going to be working. Happiness, yeah, you're going to be stressed. First of all, you're working longer hours. Second thing, you're trying to save everything that you are earning apart from your bare necessities, right? So retirement, I mean, this could totally vary, but you're not, when I say low, the reason is because let's say you're retiring at 30, you probably have 60, 70 years to think about your retirement. So you need to plan, you need to have enough money to last 60, 70 years. So you need to still watch and spend. So during those 60, 70 years, it may not be a very high spending life, right? Time in retirement is going to be huge. So as I said, 60, 70 years of time in retirement, you're going to spend time with family, etc., post your career. So that is really the good thing, right? The risk with this is, in my opinion, high. Again, like people will disagree with me here. The reason I'm saying it is high is because what if some of that investment that you have made collapses or you lose something? You're already in retirement, you're in your 40, and then you don't know how to recoup that. You haven't worked for the last 5 years, 10 years. So it could be risky, right? You need to really plan well. But I know some people who have pulled it off. So it is possible, but I think for 90% of the people, I would say it's still a high risk venture. All right, now let's move on to the self-employed option. So here you are kind of taking on a vocation, whatever it could be. You could be a doctor, you could be a carpenter, plumber. You like something and then you're doing it. It's by yourself, right? You are good at something, you love it, you're doing it by yourself. So what happens here? See, there are certain vocations that are high paying, like doctors. But a lot of vocations might not be. If you want to be an actor, musician, 1 out of 100, 1 out of 1,000 might make it big. But a lot of musicians don't make it that big. So I would say the money could vary a lot, but on average is probably going to be below a corporate career or a job. So I would say it is low. The spare time is relatively good, right? You set the hours. If you are a doctor, it might be a little different again because of the profession, but most of the professions, right, you set the hours and you have relatively good amount of time to spend with your friends and family. And happiness is very high, you love it, so you like music, or you are a musician. So this is going to make you feel good about what you're doing. You also have enough time to spend with your family and friends. Retirement, if you make it, you could have a lot of money. If you're going to be Shah Rukh Khan or one of those big actors and you really love it and you made it big, you're going to have a lot of money. But for 90% of the people, they don't make it big. So they're not going to have a lot of money. So I'm using the most common outcome, though there are going to be a lot of people who might end up very wealthy in this option. So time and retirement is going to be again average, and the risk is low because you're good at it. You're a carpenter, let's say. You're going to be able to do it for a long time. All right, so now we are coming on to the area which is very interesting, right? Setting up your own business, entrepreneurship. And I'm dividing this into 2 categories. So one is the conventional entrepreneurship. So you start a company and you become a founder and you grow the company, and it is a relatively high stressful thing. But if you make it big, you're going to make a lot of money, or you could exit via IPO, or you could exit to VC or a private equity. So when you do this in this option, right, the money, that could be ups and downs, right? Initially as a startup founder, many of the startup founders I know and I work with in this field a lot, sometimes early in their career they do struggle, they try to bootstrap, and that could be real difficult, but eventually it becomes good if they are good at what they are doing. Right, so I kept it as medium. Spare time is going to be really, really low. I think amongst all of these options, this is probably the lowest. Like, so you're not going to have a lot of spare time apart from work. Work and life will blend when you are a startup founder, right? And then happiness, again, yeah, so I mean, it will vary. If you're really passionate about the startup, maybe you are happy, but a lot of stress is involved, right? In real life, day to day, handling of so many functions as a startup founder could put you under stress. So I kept it low, but there are the exceptions for that as well. Retirement, you will end up being wealthy if you are good at it. I think, again, there are failures, right? But if you are going to be successful, if you are doing this for 30, 40 years and you have been successful, you're probably going to be one of the wealthiest in this option, right? Time in retirement is variable. Sometimes people, as a startup founder, they begin to run companies even in their 70s, 80s because they love it. But you have the option to retire early as well if you are the owner of the farm. And the risk is high. As I said, a lot of startups fail. A lot of companies fail. So I would say the risk is high, but if you are passionate, if you're good at something, you should start a business and weigh the risk and maybe diversify. Maybe you think about having diversified businesses as well. The second option in owning a business is what I call as a lifestyle business. See, this is a little bit different than the regular corporate or startup one, because here you're not really trying to make it big. You want to get into a business that you are really good at. Maybe you are exchanging your knowledge and getting money, you're exchanging your expertise and getting paid for it, and you're running it as a proper business, not as a self-employed. You have support functions, etc. But your goal is not to exit. You're not trying to get out of through an IPO or any of that exit options. You're really running this business as a way to generate cash flow and love what you're doing. It's pretty interesting option. I mean, so the money tends to be good, even though it could vary, right? And the spare time is low. Just like any of those own businesses, your spare time is going to be unfortunately low. Happiness is good because this is something you really love and you're good at, right? And retirement, yeah, so you probably are not going to make as much money as if you are running a big corporate or exited a startup. So I've kept it as low, medium. It could be even high if you're really good at what you're doing. Time and retirement could be low. You're probably working longer because you make good money, but you're also spending and living that lifestyle. And the risk is low because this is somewhat similar to a vocation. You know, you are going to be good at something. You'll always find clients. So if you have a lot of clients, even if you lose one or two, it's not going to be a big deal, unlike your corporate career. So that way, I think the risk in this one is low. So as you can see, there is no clear winner amongst these 6 options. There's a lot of green, red interspersed here, and you really need to think what is right for you. This is where we come and help you. At Success Next, we identify your personality and we map with what is the right career for you, what is important for you, and how one of these options might be the right solution.